How's it going, everyone? We have a huge update for PlayStation Plus for the month of November, and unfortunately, it's not the update we usually like to talk about in terms of all of the games coming to the service and everything like that. But an unfortunate reality of subscription services is a lot of games are not going to be there in perpetuity. Some games are just there for a brief stint and then they leave. Well, in the case of a lot of titles, come November 15th, they will be taking a leave, including a very major franchise. We'll talk all about that. We have an update on Forspoken as it gets a brand new trailer. Game looking pretty solid. I'm hoping that one turns out well. And Sherlock Holmes, The Awakened gets its first gameplay trailer. More on that at the end of this video, but let's start things off with some major news. For those of you that are subscribed to PlayStation Plus Extra or Premium, be mindful of the fact that games are leaving on November the 15th, and this includes MXGP 2021, the official motocross video game, Ride 4, and probably most notably, Mafia Definitive Edition, Mafia 2 Definitive Edition, and Mafia 3 Definitive Edition. Now, I believe Mafia and Mafia 2 are on Plus Premium, and then Mafia 3 is on Plus Extra. Sony does the weird thing where, because the game's a remaster of a classic title, or in the case of Mafia Definitive Edition, that's a full-on remake, they lock those games behind the Plus Premium tier, which I think is absolutely whack. Seems like that's just a reason for them to add depth to their classic game offerings without actually offering, oh, would you guess it, classic games, but hopefully that'll change shortly. Nonetheless, I know that a lot of people get mad over games leaving, and I can understand why. Like, you're signed up to Plus Extra Premium and you're playing a game like Red Dead Redemption 2, a game that's a gargantuan undertaking, and then all of a sudden it's leaving the service, and Sony doesn't really publicize games leaving the service as much as they probably should. Yeah, I can understand that a little bit. I try to keep up to date with it, but in the case of the Mafia titles, I didn't even know about this until it was making the rounds on social media. I'm like, damn, those are some major games on Plus Premium, especially where Mafia Definitive Edition still goes for like $15 on sale. So a lot of times I'd just be like, hey, that's a game that, yes, the fact it's in the top tier subscription service is kind of a bummer, but that's a game to sign up to the service for. Same thing with Mafia 2. While the Definitive Edition is kind of memes, Mafia 2 is an excellent game in my opinion, and while I wasn't as hot on Mafia 3, I thought Mafia 3 was a pretty decent game, man. So there's some major titles that are leaving the service. Now, if you have your subscription running, you know, November 15th gives you a good bit of time. You can definitely complete Mafia 1 and 2. Mafia 1, like, if you have an off day, a free day, you can literally beat that game in one sitting. It's not a super lengthy game. Like, it's gonna be a long sitting, don't get me wrong. It'll probably be like an 8 to 9 hour sitting, but you can beat it in one sitting. Mafia 2, not super lengthy as well. Mafia 3, you got the bigger world going on and everything like that, so, you know, your mileage is gonna vary on that one, but try those games out. I loved Mafia 1 and 2, and Mafia 3, again, I still thought was okay. And then Ride 4, MXGP, those games aren't going to click with me as much as, you know, they are leaving, but hey, 2 more games that are leaving the service. Now, come later November, we are going to get a refresh. We are going to get new games getting added to the service, and hopefully November is going to give us a quality month of new additions. It's been pretty decent, all things considered, for the extra tier. Like, the extra tier has had some solid additions with stuff like Assassin's Creed and the Ubisoft games. I thought that has been overall pretty decent, but yeah, it's always been Plus Premium that is severely lacking, and the gimmick of locking away remasters and remakes in the premium tier, I just think is so effing lame, but nonetheless, that's just my opinion. You may think differently about that one. Alright, moving on from that, Forspoken, one of the games that I feel like is getting a little bit lost in the shuffle. We're still a couple months away from the release of the game, to be fair. Forspoken has gotten a brand new trailer, the Deep Dive Magic Combat trailer. With that, there's an in-depth look at the game's magic and combat over at the PlayStation blog, detailing the magic abilities that protagonist Frey Holland uses in the video over at the blog. Now, this is coming from Luminous Productions, and it's an open-world action RPG that technically is incredibly impressive. This game was scheduled for a release, I believe, early this year, like in May. Then it got delayed, and then it got delayed again. That's always going to be a bit of a cause for concern for me when games, especially new IPs, I will doubly say for new IPs, when they are getting delayed multiple times. You know, I remember vividly Cyberpunk 2077, once that got delayed for like the second time, I was like, oh baby, there's trouble in paradise. And you know, everybody talks about me always defending Cyberpunk, and yes, I just don't think it's the worst game of all time, but at that point, I was pretty convinced there's trouble in paradise when it comes to Cyberpunk after 2 delays, and people were still super looking forward to the game, and then ultimately you guys you guys know what happened. In the case of Forspoken, hoping for the best out of this one, especially because Luminous, it's not like they have a gigantically strong track record and, you know, strong reception in the gaming world. But Forspoken, them developing a new IP, a compelling game, a big budget title like this, that'll be pretty interesting to see. It was noted over at the blog, first and foremost, we wanted to stay away from having things like fire or rocks just suddenly appearing out of nowhere. While that certainly would have been fine and wouldn't have caused any issues, doing that felt too expected and boring, especially for a game so focused on magic. We decided that every spell would share a common rule. It would start with magic energy and transition into natural phenomena like the aforementioned fire and rocks. Then when the spell is cast, it would revert back to the magic energy before fading away. A lot of detail put towards those abilities. We also wanted to stay away from using auras or summoning circles when Freya was using spells. This would lack originality. Early in development, we decided that magic energy in Forspoken would be represented by geometric patterns. The informed visual design of all of the game's magic ensured we kept a consistent visual style throughout the game. Burst shot fires explosive lumps of rock that deal area damage. There's cataract. Cataract spins up a watery vortex that sucks in enemies, damaging them as it does so. If you hold the button, you can send out pillars of water to attack the enemies as well. Then there's Genesis, summoning barbed branches which fire out in front of you and skewer foes over a wide area. There's going to be more spells. We were testing the spell while we were still in pre-production. It's a pretty extravagant concept. A tree grows from the ground and flowers would bloom. Then an even larger tree impales everything in sight. It took an enormous amount of trial and error to show plants being created at such a scale. Showing trees growing from the ground was especially challenging. We tested a lot of different methods that we had to start over many times. I'm delighted with how it turned out, though. I think we were able to achieve something wonderful. I have to say, the magical abilities look fantastic in this game. I mean, I think from a visual standpoint, it's just a very, very impressive game. It's a next-generation exclusive title. I know some people have found the gameplay to look a little bit mundane, but ultimately, I do want to see how this game turns out. And it's a brand new IP, so I'm definitely going to have some interest in it. Unfortunately, Forspoken's biggest problem might just be the release date. Now, it's actually going to be the first among a wave of consistent big game releases, but you're talking Forspoken January 24th, Dead Space Remake, January 27th, I believe. Hogwarts Legacy, early February. You've got Atomic Heart. You've got Wild Hearts, and etc., etc. That's just off the top of my head. So, the dollar from the consumer is going to be pretty limited in the months of January, February, and March in terms of them picking up everything. I know there's going to be some people that are going to buy every game that comes out within that period, but man, like 4 games, 4 to 5 big releases like that in like a 4-week span, that's a tall ask for the wallet. So Forspoken might unfortunately be the game that does feel a bit of a brunt of that, so we'll see how that turns out. Lastly, I do want to note that Sherlock Holmes The Awakened gets its first gameplay trailer. This is, of course, the remake. This is also scheduled for release in February of 2023, by the way. Obviously, a smaller release, but still pretty notable. A Lovecraft meets Sherlock Holmes crossover. The Awakened puts you up against the legendary Cthulhu mythos. Investigate a series of mysterious disappearances apparently linked to dark cult that worships the ancient god. Whatever their plan is, you must put a stop to it or face unspeakable consequences. So again, that first trailer has dropped. The game will ultimately be released on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and PC on Steam in February of 23. No official release date on that, but that is going to do it for me. Again, it's unfortunate news, but I got to keep you guys updated when games are leaving the Plus services, because if you do want to play them, now's your opportunity to do so. Otherwise, they're going to be gone for good, or at least gone for a while, unless Sony wants to re-up the licenses and whatnot. Forspoken gets a brand new combat trailer. Magic looks fantastic in that game, and Sherlock Holmes The Awakened, the remake, gets its first gameplay trailer. That's going to do it for me. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.